welcome back. Normally it doesn't come to me, but today...
Surprise!
Hey, well, everybody needs to put the normal handles with their actual names. See, he's entertained.
I'm only in the 1 percentile of height, but the 99% of weight gain.
Behave. We have hot tamales. Get fired up. I knew this was a good move. Go ahead.
Honest, I actually don't know what happened.
Oh, this is stupid. That's fine. Whatever. Just you're exposing your idiocy.
You've heard it here first, folks. We'll be right back. Good evening, everybody. We made it. Season 7. We are here in the studio at Canaan Radio. Let's see. We're probably at over 100 episodes now, including all of the seasons, and we still can't make it on time. Brother Peter, before we went live, said they wouldn't believe it was us if we went live on time. But we're glad to be here. I'm in the studio with Pastor Reeves.
Hello.
Brother Peter Ward.
Hi.
And for the first time ever permanently... Down, not up in the booth, is Brother J.T. Crawford.
Hello.
Amen.
Up in the booth, we have a couple minions. Pray for us. Damien is behind the controls, and Ricardo's backing him up. Ricardo doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's here. But we are glad to be starting Season 7 of The Brook. Of course, this year's theme is the issues of life, and we're going to get into all of that. But to start off, we're going to talk about a few little changes that we made. We should see if anybody can pick them out in the comments. What's different so far about the broadcast? Can you figure it out, or we'll just tell you?
Sean's on.
What's up,
Hey, Sean.
That is different.
That is pretty rare.
Mrs. Reeves on. Hey, Mrs. Reeves. David. Hi. JT. Hi. Where's your dad?
I texted him.
Okay.
Text all your friends. Tell them that we're live.
He'll be here, I'm sure.
I never really read my opening spiel, so I guess we'll skip that. I didn't.
Go ahead.
We do say this every time. We love hearing from you during the show, so make sure that you don't just listen to us. Jump on YouTube, that's Canaan Radio, and get in the chat and say hello. Tell us who is watching. Don't be a creeper.
Yeah.
Let us know. And then also, we do play requested songs from time to time, so you can text us at 920-940-8275, or you could send the song request in the chat, and if we have it, 50-50 chance we'll play it. If you send us some money, we'll play it. And then you can follow us on Canaan Radio, Canaan_radio on X and Instagram and Facebook.
Amen.
I think that about covers it.
Some people have gotten on. You want to say hi to them?
Hi, everybody that got on.
There you go.
Let's see. Christy's here. Jules here. Mom. Hi, Mom. Mrs. Reeves said the camera views look great.
Tell us about it.
For the JT. Tell us about the camera angles.
I didn't have anything to do with that.
No, I know. That's why I didn't want to say. So, actually, a couple changes.
I can't say it because I'm bitter about it. So.
Yeah. So go to the camera 6, Damien. So if you look, there's a TV, there's a monitor in front of me and Pastor, and then this big, huge TV was always behind us. But we normally have the monitors on either side. Well, we moved one of them, and so now we can see ourselves.
That's a great idea. I'm glad you.
It's a great. Pastor Reeves came up with that idea like 3 seasons ago.
Yeah,
and we just
couldn't do it.
We couldn't do it until this year.
Yeah,
and the Lord just opened some doors. He allowed us to move it, and then we moved a couple of the camera angles. This one's actually the same. It's just a wide angle. We haven't used this before. And then Pastor's
It's pointed at.
Yeah.
The people sitting over there.
Yep.
When we have extras.
Right. And then Pastor's camera is a little bit different. Mine's a little bit different. Brother Peter's is a little bit different. But actually, JT's is the same.
I'm the different part.
He's definitely different.
For sure.
It's good to have him out of the loft and down with the common folk.
He graduated.
Finally graduated, guys.
Graduated. After 6 seasons.
Yeah.
The 7th season, he's able to come downstairs.
Amen. How's it feel?
That chair's comfier.
That's another complaint we'll solve on another day. Oh, the other thing is we have new lights. It's bright. It should be brighter in here. Tell us in the comments. Does it look brighter, folks?
Yes, it does.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Brother Jeff, it's good to have you back on the broadcast or back on the chat.
Yeah. He said we're running that big blue and white bus out there in Ravenna. So praise the Lord.
Hi to Miss Hope, Miss Hannah, Miss Smith. Yeah, I think that's everybody that's new that I know. There's a couple on here I don't think. Oh, and Emily.
Sean.
No.
I bought mushroom pasta today.
That's not pasta.
I would love to video his history classes. And just in the middle of it, all of a sudden he starts talking about peanut butter and jelly or something.
If I was a student, I'd pay attention. You never know when you pull out a snack.
Well, that would be Damien's
That
class.
would be Damien's class. He would never share, though. No way.
No.
Alana and Elsie are watching at my house. Well, tell them to get on the chat and stop being creepers. Are they watching on the TV? Can you chat on a TV with the remote? That would take a while.
Yeah. I think so.
All right, you want to tell us about our first segment?
First segment. I'm excited about it. David, I don't know, did you call me or text me? No, you called me.
We were sitting next to each other.
We were sitting next to each other.
Yeah, at Starbucks.
Yeah, and David was telling me about a certain individual calling him saying, "What's up? What's taking you guys so long? We're waiting for the broadcast to start again." And I was like, "Man, David, good night. We've been slammed since the last broadcast. It's just things that were done." I said, "Let's make a segment, the first segment, all about what we did this whole time up until the program started here, so that people get an idea how busy we are." And so that person was Brother
Tripp.
Yeah, Tut Tripp in Maryland. Of course, he's our friend. I remember his name. He's a very close friend. And anyway, I said, let's make this segment, make him the face of this segment, because he was the one that was impatient and really was trying to get us to get going. So, Brother Tripp, don't be tripping.
Don't be tripping.
Don't be tripping. Now that is completely AI generated. How awesome is that?
That is awesome.
Pastor did that. I couldn't even do it. I don't even know how you did that. Took some pictures from Brother Tripp's
Social
Facebook.
media. Yeah.
Stalking, and would turn it into a video. So don't be tripping. If you want to know what's going on in between the broadcasts, I guess you could just follow us on social media, and then you'll know what's going on.
Yeah, but it's just going to bring everything together and take chunks of it. So we have 8 weeks planned for this broadcast, and so every week we'll feature in order. So this is, I don't know, this starts.
This is like the first
from
month
August,
or so.
From August through September. October, okay.
Actually, we do have some September.
October, yes. Yeah. So we're going to roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah, so we're going to go through some of these photos. Some of them aren't in order, so we'll just talk about them as they pop up. This is in October, I believe. Of course, I will say this, the broadcast ended at the beginning, the second week of August. I think August 16th was the last episode.
Yeah, so I don't know why this is first, but
it's not in order.
Yeah, it's not in order.
No.
Nothing here at our church is in order.
Nothing's in order. This is in October, though. Pastor was invited to preach at Hiles-Anderson College. And
this is a class after that, I think.
Yep, this was class. You can go to the next picture. This was class, the guy's class. Whose class? Brother Francis's class?
Yes, church
education. And you can keep going. This is Pastor Reeves signing Bibles.
Yeah.
At the Hiles-Anderson.
Famous man of gold.
Bible College.
Famous man of gold.
This is preaching. Brother Francis is behind him.
I have to say, nothing's changed as far as how they greet preachers that are guest preachers. They don't have the amen section anymore, which where the Fruit Loops were. Crazy ones. Now they're spread throughout the whole auditorium.
Yeah. Well, we somehow were in the rambunctious section of the auditorium. You can see Brother Peter's head.
We had a great
right
time.
There. Yeah. You can see it because of all the gray that's in it there, all the wisdom that's in there.
Definitely looks like a ward head.
Yeah. All right. So this is a random thing that happened. Ricardo would appreciate this. We have this huge pile of...
Nobody knows who Ricardo is.
Well, we have.
You know
Now
that,
it's
right?
there again.
We're going to talk about Ricardo in a moment, too.
I like talking about people.
There was a huge pile at camp of tree limbs and all kinds of stuff that was supposed to be burned, and it had been gathered there since...
What you're
4
seeing
years.
is cleaned up.
Yes, this is
That
cleaned
is
up.
very, very clean.
I think
All
I
of-
have a picture of it.
It's like you
Yeah, you
already
gotta have
burnt.
something before
You
then.
already burnt.
That was the last bit of it.
4 or 5 piles that size,
Yeah.
and that was all spread across the.
Oh,
whole.
we're going in reverse here, I think. So we had, at one point,
Totally
we had
out of
2 different fires going. I'm shocked we didn't burn the whole place down, to be honest.
It was
That's some of the, I guess that's the bottom of the hill. I know you're all real interested in
no. This is
our
great.
pile of
This is
sticks.
great. I love it. Some fire.
Did you guys dump any fireworks in there?
No.
Did we have anything go off randomly?
There's probably some gun shells down there or something.
We had, that's what it looked like originally.
Yeah. Well, partially. You got to get it.
At one point, we were running around stomping down fires that were being blown. The embers were being blown.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
This is in September.
My buddy Eric.
I don't remember when this is, to be honest, but I think it's September. This is when I went and filmed the bus conference video of Brother Eric Perez. So this is his bus route that we were on, and it started like that. That is that's a sign that Miss Hannah made for our bus conference that the Lindsays stole.
Thievery.
They stole it, put it in their suitcase, flew back to Michigan, and taped it up in their bus. They had, on that Sunday I was riding the bus, 90-something kids on there.
On a 20-passenger bus.
Yeah. I think they broke 100. It was craziness. And this is Brother Perez. As we film, he's holding up the bus key.
Yeah, we're going to see him next week.
Yes, we are.
David and I are riding our gold wings out there. It's a
Oh,
long
nice.
drive. Pray for us. But we're gonna go see him.
Cool.
That's a picture of
A plane.
a plane that's be flying. All right, here we go. This is Pete. You remember when we put in that road?
No, I was going to ask you. It was sometime.
September.
I have the dates.
September, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
September. You want to?
September 12th.
Yeah.
It's a new road.
So the old road is to the right of the power lines, and it would go all the way up, but it didn't match the cement driveways that are put in around the beautiful cement entrances that we have. And so we've got a plan for that 4.2 acres, how to use all of those entrances to bring folks into church and allow them to exit, of course, our bus routes and everything. So we started with moving that access road from the right side of the poles to the left side, which connects right into our paved bus lot.
And it's held up pretty good. I think
back.
there's more pictures of that, but
There's videos, I think.
yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, you play the videos for that section.
Yeah, this guy was like 150. And he could pull that lever, click on.
Go, speed racer.
The tractor at all.
Pretty good.
Skid steer without me.
Well, guy knows what he's doing.
I'm not thinking
Right?
he's telling the truth.
But he did a pretty good job. We just had to smooth-
Now tell us how
smooth shit.
much gravel, son,
that you ordered. You ordered. Was it?
Let me say we did that twice, probably 2 times as much as we should have. It was a $7,000 worth.
He didn't know that until we got the bill. He was like,
That's 3.
"Oops." But hey, it's held up.
Yeah.
Do we have 2
Good
videos?
run.
Yes.
So this is our 4.2 acres. We're building a big bus garage there to the left. And to the right will be, that'll be all nice tailored grass entrance ways, on a fountain sign, beautiful sign. And the back behind the truck there, that back area is going to be parking. Yeah. Katie was too. I finally got a building size.
Second floor.
Second floor.
Yeah, I want to raise you in the cemetery.
There's a cemetery right over here. My wife and I was over there the other day picking out our place for a mausoleum. I want to be able to have the teens come in on a Halloween night and pre-record a bunch of stuff in the mausoleum of me yelling at them. And I want a window right over the, so I can look into our property and keep an eye on it.
It's on the computer. Just make sure it's back.
You can't hear us talking. Sorry.
Hey.
No, yeah, I can see us. Good job.
All right, those are those two videos of the road that was put in. Let's skip forward to the next pictures here. This is, actually, we talked about this. I think your video is still playing. You gotta go pause it. Oh, it stopped. We talked about this in the last episode, I think, of the Broke. This is the Bus Ministry Network video that, or
Yep. Tell a little background there on that.
Mm-hmm. So this is the second meeting. The first meeting was in July.
Yes.
First meeting
in
was
Chicago.
Brother Ray Young met with about seven or eight pastors.
7 or 8 of us.
And just around a conference table at right outside of Chicago. And then he sent every single one of those pastors, was able to reach out and invite other pastors to the meeting. There ended up being, 50? I think 50 or so pastors that came to this meeting.
Good group.
To launch more or less, the website of the Bus Ministry Network that has a bunch of helps, resources,
CDL
connections.
information.
Yep. And he had a guy talk about how to get your CDL there. We passed out some information about how to paint a bus. You preached.
Yeah, I was supposed to teach, but that never goes well when they say, teach something.
And the idea was, how can we...
So why do we pick pictures of Brother Tyson?
Yeah, I don't know. Brother Tyson's getting too much airtime. Yeah. There you go.
That's the important
That's
guy.
the important guy right
I guess we could just claim Woodlawn as part of our ministry.
Yeah, I like it. So anyway, I'm pretty sure we talked about the Bus Ministry Network. That's a lot of the materials that we handed out. Oh, we talked about our bus conference as well at that meeting. Let's see. Next up, I don't know what we got next. That's a pad of paper.
Did you design that?
I did. Canaan
You
Media
didn't say anything about that.
I didn't.
He designed everything for Brother Ray Young. Designed everything.
Website.
Did a movie. Did you a movie?
I did, yes.
Anyway, this guy right here.
Canaan Media. This is before the road was put in. You can see the old road.
Yes.
Totally out of order.
That is them coming in. We hired a company come in. I can't remember what we paid, but
I do.
Get all of the cement and
asphalt
off the ground, and
they did a good job.
Yeah, well, we can actually. We got a new lawn guy from down in Mexico, and he's on staff now. So he mows lawn. He actually was able to mow it, and it looks pretty nice.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, certainly better than last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this, I'm digging up all the blacktop.
Mm-hmm. More pictures of the road going in.
Yeah, we did a memorial service. That's right.
September 20th had a.
That was that long ago.
Yeah, memorial service for Charlie Kirk, and had how many saved? It was like 3 or 4 saved, I think.
I can't remember.
As a result of that, had some folks come from the community. We just opened it up for our community. It was on Saturday evening.
Yeah.
And sang some.
We had some people on Sunday that came too from that, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the last thing, except for there's one more in here. I think if it's in there. Oh, look, more road. Keep going. Keep going. That's the Bus Ministry Network. That's Chapel. This is where it's kind of really out of order here.
Oh, it's been all out of order.
Yeah.
That's like the first.
This is the
Because they
very
did it at
first.
the beginning of August is when they did that.
Remove that big pile of wood. Is that it? Ah, here we are. Ricardo.
There's Ricardo. That's right. We need to talk about Ricardo.
Ricardo, when did you get here?
Last days of August.
End of August. Yep, end of August he got here. Joined. This is the service he joined the church.
Now, change the subject a little bit. You know, some people have names. First name's okay, but their last name is just a name that you're like, I think I changed my last name. Like, we got a new kicker on the Green Bay Packers called Smack. And so we're going to put the Smack down on Chicago. I like that last name.
Yeah, that's a good one. Smacks the football.
But if there was ever a name in Mexico that you'd want to change, it's Baño. It wouldn't, don't you think?
Ricardo Bathroom. Don't think that's the same. It's Baños, right?
See?
Baño.
I go to Baño.
Ricardo comes from Texas.
Yes, he's
From
not even.
Pastor-
He's not really a Mexican.
Iglesia Baptista El Esperanza.
Esperanza.
Hope Baptist Church,
Yeah.
right? Something like that. Hope
We
Baptist
took their
Church.
hope though.
Yeah, and coming to Pastor Jesus Garza, and he's just finished his freshman year in Bible college, starting his sophomore year here in a few months. And he is also an eligible bachelor.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
He is looking for a good woman.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all the pictures. That's me on Brother Perez's bus route. So
Cool.
I think that covers everything. Next week we'll get into the fall
What is
program.
Mrs. Reeves saying about a grave story?
We're talking about picking out your plots.
Your mausoleum.
Yeah.
They couldn't hear
Mausoleum.
that over the video, so you got to tell the story again.
Oh, Mrs. Reeves and
How
I
was that?
went over to the graveyard, which is right across from our 4.2 acres. And there's a area that doesn't have any, it's available. And I told her we need to get that, make that the Reeves Mausoleum. And then when Halloween comes around, the youth pastor can take all the teenagers into that mausoleum, and we'll have, instead of it being a regular casket, we'll make everything out of PVC or plastic. What is
Plexiglass.
that? Plexiglass. So you can see the bodies decaying.
no,
and then we'll
that's
play,
wrong.
well, I see you, I know what you're doing, just mess with them a little bit. And then I want a window in the back of the mausoleum so I can keep an eye on my staff.
We'll put a motion detector so something like some eyeballs pop
What are you
up.
doing?
Yeah. What are you doing? Get to work. What'd you do today?
Yeah, for real. That's right.
Oh, boy.
Am I in? There you go. That's the grave story.
There you go. You had it. All right. Don't forget this week's
Don't be tripping.
This week's broadcast will be available as a podcast that you can find on our website, YouTube, and most podcast platforms. Next week, maybe. I say that, but it depends on if we get it uploaded or not. But remember, you can be a part of the broadcast by chatting with us on YouTube or by texting us at 920-940-8275. Let us know that you're watching and send us a song request, and we'll play it. For now, we're going to go to a break, and we'll come back for the main segment. We're going to go to City of Refuge, sung by the Prophets. Very soon. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. Of course, this is the theme of season 7 of The Brook this year. And oftentimes when that verse is read, it is focused. The focus is at the first part of the verse, which is keep thy heart with all diligence, which of course is a good focus to have. But sometimes we don't get into the second part of the verse, issues of life. And so pastor's goal with this season is to take 8 weeks and go through 8 different seasons of life that bring along with it issues. And those issues could be good, those issues can be difficult, those issues could just be normal life decisions that you have to make. But how do you apply spiritual truths, and how do you make those decisions right? That's some of the things that we're going to be talking about today's episode. We're beginning with childhood and learning obedience.
Amen. Well, here we go. Issue. Something I've seen that I thought would be a good thing just to start with is childhood learning obedience, and talking about that. Obedience is one of the foundational skills of childhood. Before a child learns math, responsibility, leadership, finances, or even many spiritual truths, they must learn how to obey. What is obedience? Biblically, obedience is willingly submitting to rightful authority with the right attitude and in a timely manner. Ephesians 6:1 says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right." True obedience is doing what is asked, doing it when asked, doing it with the right spirit. So important to have the right spirit. And many children learn partial obedience, like examples of delayed obedience, "I'll do it later." That's what they say. Selective obedience, "I'll obey the parts I like." Then there's forced obedience, "I'll do it because I have to." And then there's external obedience only, doing the action while rolling the eyes and complaining for showing resentment. A child may comply outwardly while still rebelling inwardly. What obedience is not? Obedience is not blindly following sinful commands. Obedience is not losing personality. Obedience is not never asking questions. Obedience is not being controlled by fear. Godly obedience teaches submission to rightful authority while maintaining personal responsibility before God. While learning obedience early in life, you need to understand it really, really matters. A child who learns obedience gains advantages in nearly every area of their life. One area is school. Teachers can teach a child who listens. A child who refuses authority spends more time fighting correction than learning. Another area is work. Employers reward reliability. The employee who follows instructions accepts correction and fulfills responsibilities, advances faster than anyone who is constantly resisting authority. Then there's marriage. That's important to understand obedience for marriage. Marriage requires cooperation, humility, and submission to biblical roles. People who never learn obedience often struggle with selfishness and conflict. Then obedience is important in church. And when you think about church, a person who cannot receive instruction from parents usually struggles receiving instruction from pastors, teachers, and spiritual leaders. Obedience is important for our relationship with God. Every Christian life is built upon obedience. John 14:15. If you love me, keep my commandments. The child who learns to obey parents has already learned the basic framework for obeying God. What develops obedience? Clear expectations. That's important. Children cannot obey what they do not understand. Parents should communicate clearly. Instead of "behave yourself," maybe you should say, "sit quietly, keep your hands to yourself, and listen." Clear instructions produce clear obedience. How about consistency? Children learn quickly when expectations remain the same. Rules that constantly change create confusion. If something's wrong on Monday, it should be wrong on Friday. If it's wrong during the school year, it should be wrong during the summertime. Consistency builds security. How about immediate follow-through? Children learn what parents truly mean by simply parents being consistent in their enforcement. A command that is repeated 5 times before action teaches the child that obedience is optional. A command followed by an immediate accountability teaches obedience is expected. Positive reinforcement, that's very important. And I find it's the most enjoyable as a parent, as a leader. I like positive reinforcement. Unfortunately, I don't find that's where we spend much time. Children, and it's not always because it's not where we like to be, because there's other areas that need spent on. But children need correction, but they also need encouragement. Praise obedience when it occurs. Many parents become expert at spotting failure while overlooking success. Children often repeat what receives attention. So if they get attention, they'll repeat it. And then, of course, proper discipline. Hebrews 12 teaches that loving correction is evidence of care. Discipline is not revenge. Discipline is training. The goal is not punishment alone. The goal is teaching. And then be a good example. A good example is powerful in in giving this teaching to a child. Children learn more from what they observe than from what they hear. If parents obey God, respect authority, keep commitments, and submit to biblical truth, children see obedience modeled. Parents cannot consistently teach what they refuse to practice. It's very important to listen to that. If you're not going to practice it, the kids are not going to do it. Now, what slows or hinders obedience? Inconsistent parenting. When expectations change daily, children learn confusion instead of obedience. Empty threats hurts obedience. If you do that one more time, then nothing happens. Children eventually discover the warning has no meaning whatsoever. How about parents arguing about discipline? Nothing weakens authority faster than one parent correcting while the other rescues. Children quickly learn to divide authority figures. And we see that in our teenagers. As even when we work with our teenagers today, they're constantly trying to pit parent against parent, or pastor against parent, or youth pastor against parent. They're always trying to be sneaky like that because it falls to their advantage. And then there's excessive negotiation. This is one that just throws me. Every instruction does not require a committee meeting. We don't have to sit down and negotiate everything. A child should be allowed to ask questions. A child should not believe every command is up for debate. You need to know the difference between the two. Then there's the delayed consequences. When consequences never arrive, disobedience becomes profitable. Children naturally repeat behaviors that seem to work. There's a lack of relationship between the child and the parent. Children obey best when authority is paired with love. Rules without relationship often create resentment. Love without rules often creates chaos. And just thinking about this, kind of going off script here a little bit, but reading some of the testimonies that came in from the college students, almost in every one said, I had a closer relationship with my teachers, with the pastor, than I would have if I would have went to a bigger college. And that relationship, knowing that every staff member loved me and cared about me, that makes a difference. And it does with obedience as well. Love without rules often creates chaos. Healthy homes have both. So know that. You got to have love, but you also have to have rules. Then you have parents who model disobedience. Children notice when parents ignore church commitments, disrespect authority, break promises, speak critically of leadership. Children often imitate what they see. One of the greatest gifts a parent can give, many parents focus on giving children opportunities like sports, education, experiences, possessions, things. All of those have value, but one of the greatest gifts a parent can give is teaching a child to obey. A child who learns obedience gains self-control. A child who learns obedience becomes teachable. A child who learns obedience becomes trustworthy. A child who learns obedience develops habits that help in school, work, marriage, church, and ultimately, and most importantly, in their walk with God. The goal is not raising children who simply obey parents. The goal is raising adults who know how to submit themselves to truth, responsibility, authority, and ultimately to God himself. When a child learns obedience early, he carries that advantage with him for the rest of his life. And so in saying all of that, I can't help but think, two things. Obedience is obeying immediately, and obedience is not obedience, even if it's done immediately, if it's not complete. So those are things that I stress very much in the raising of my 4 children, and then now when my grandkids get to be here with me in my house, those are just 2 main things I want them to know. I'm granddad. I'm going to have a good time. But if I tell you to do something, do it, and do it right the first time. Do it completely. So that's my 2 cents. I'm going to pass it to, these 3 guys all have children. And so I think there's some insight they can give. And so I'm going to shut up.
I think it was when you sent the topic for this week to us. It was interesting to me now viewing from an adult perspective of learning obedience as a child, because now I have, to some extent, I have a little 1-year-old, and seeing as she grows and progresses and she gets her self-will and becomes more independent, contrary to obedience whatsoever, and it's, as human nature is. But then I also look back from when I was a child, and when you're a child, you don't realize that the building block really for your future that your parents are trying to build in you is obedience. You just view, I don't know about you guys, it took me a second to really think that far back, and that's harder for Peter, but
right,
but
possible.
Thinking back to childhood, you don't really think about the spiritual aspect of those things. You just think about, well, these are the rules, or I don't want to get in trouble. Or I remember one time when I was probably about 4 years old, I was supposed to be cleaning my room and making my bed, and
at the same time.
Yeah,
it can be done.
Yeah, expectations were too high. I couldn't do it. But I had got distracted with some toys, and I was playing with those toys, and I can remember, not me. I can remember my sister Jewel saying, I think it was Jewel, it might have been Will, I don't remember, but they said, aren't you supposed to be cleaning? You're going to get in trouble. And I remember you weren't in the house. I don't remember where you were, but it was Mom that told me to clean. And I was like, hard to believe. I was like, And then I think Jewel said, "You're gonna get a whooping," and I knew only Mom was in the house, and I said, "That's all right. Mom's spankings don't hurt." And I did not know that she was standing right behind me, because I was playing in the corner, and let's just say I got some whoopings immediately, and that goes hand in hand with, obviously as a kid, you just say that was truthful compared to what whoopings would I rather have, Mom or Dad? Well, I'd rather have Mom. And so I didn't put a high value, of course, but Mom heard it, and she made sure to correct me immediately, because I wasn't doing it. And it wasn't only because I wasn't cleaning my room, but it was also because I had an attitude about it. And but looking back on little instances where either I was corrected like that, or times where I was with, say, since I was illustration with my mother, so I was with my mom, having conversations or having a good time. Or I remember multiple times where we were in the kitchen just as a 4 or 5 year old kid and helping Mom cook here or there, doing this, and having this positive reinforcement side of things. Mm-hmm. And now looking back at it, I can see that those were building blocks about building obedience. And so now that I have a little demon child, just holding her today, and I was just holding her, having a conversation with you, and you can always, she's already getting to the point where she knows
she wants your attention.
She wants attention, and she now knows how to get it, and that's screaming, kicking her legs, moving around, and so learning to correct that right away, say no, and then I'll tell you something that we're working through. She learned how to give kisses, 3 weeks ago, or I'll be like, kiss, and she'll give me a kiss on the side. But as soon as she learned how to do something that was commanded of her, immediately she did not want to do it. And it's interesting, because you see the spirit of rebellion in humanity just as a little child. Yeah. And there's no reason. It's just she's told to do something, she doesn't want to do it. And but this is a great reminder, on as cute as that is and how little as that is, the importance of teaching obedience and where that will get to when it comes to your life spiritually as an adult, being able to learn biblically what you should be doing and then obey it. Taking correction from your leadership, and not just taking it, but accepting it and obeying. Things like that. So that's a little bit of input.
Before you get a spanking.
I don't know if JT has.
Well, and this is separate from what I kind of was thinking of. But you mentioned, it's cute, but you got to correct it. Well, think of where that leads if she continues with that spirit of rebellion. That doesn't matter what she's told. It could be something super simple, and she immediately doesn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Where does that lead when she's 10? 15.
Now, are you talking 20. About his daughter or yours?
Oh,
Because you got your own now.
I
So
know,
don't talk
I
about
know.
his. You talk about yours.
Demon
No,
2.0.
I just it's
We
it made
know
me
about
think
her.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing you.
Demon child, toilet child.
Oh, man.
Tell us
That's
about
a good story right there.
It popped in my head when you talked about, because you made this point a couple weeks ago when you were talking about, because I was talking about dealing with her not wanting to obey. But you're graduated a little further down the road. It's not just obedience. You were talking about when you were working with your daughter on, I don't want to give it away.
I'm lost.
Oh,
So
not just obeying, but obeying right away.
yes, yeah. We have she, of course, Danielle is too, and she doesn't like to.
The terrific twos.
Yes, terrific twos. It is my middle name, according to my father.
Okay.
Anyways, no, she likes to finish whatever she's working on, and it isn't necessarily anything bad, but it's not obeying immediately. And so we've been working with her on that. And it's funny, Em has been working with her obey the first time, and just a little saying to try to reinforce that, which is a good jumping off point of what I was train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I think a lot of times Christians take train up, and they just think that means, not actually what training is of, well, I just bring them to church and they'll absorb what they need. And, but when you get into a sports realm, what's training? It's repetition over and over and over again. And sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's loud, and sometimes it hurts, and so on and so forth. But then we absolutely forget that when it comes to raising kids. And she wants to finish doing whatever she's doing and then do what she was told. No, and we have to over and over again, constantly, day in and day out. No, immediately. And at first we were a little bit more lenient because she's young. But as she gets older, no, she's been told. So now we don't.
She understands now.
She understands, and she's choosing. It's a conscious choice to disobey. So we've been working on that. And it's obey immediately.
We should name a paddle. Working on that. We're working on that.
That's good. Well, I will say that obviously you only have your first child you're working with, and then JT just recently became the father of two.
Yes.
And the second one hasn't started maneuvering himself around by himself yet, but she's got attitude. Anna's 8, and there are 3 trailing after her, and it's interesting to see the differences over the years in, like, the difference between Anna and Ellery and how they took things and took correction and became more obedient in some areas than others is completely different. And and between them and then Benjamin is different, and then Jenny, she's the best. She's the sweetest. Now, she's not demon at all. No, she has a lot of interesting issues. But the one thing that Pastor did touch on in his opening was consistency. Whether it's whether they take it the first time and they learn from that first time, or the second time, or the third time, or the 27th millionth time.
Today
is just being only today is just being consistent with them on that one issue. And as soon as they realize that, if they can do math, 1 + 1 is 2, then they'll be fine, because if they do it, they get a punishment. The certain outcome is coming, and as soon as they realize that and understand that, then the better off you as a parent is going to be, and they'll be, of course, because they're going to be learning. And I think that's really just what helped me as a kid was my parents. I just remember, so long ago.
Back in black and white.
Whoa. That's what it is. Yeah, sepia, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's just turning. It's like Wizard of Oz, the whole. Man, he's too old for that too, isn't he?
Wizard of Oz.
I
is
remember
black
that.
and white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind.
No place like home.
Well, I think one of the things that I was thinking of as you guys were all talking, just fundamental truths and everything that you guys said. Of course, I'm 58, knock on the door 59, I remember the child raising years from a different perspective than David and my other children, I'm sure, remember it. But as they raise their children, I think the perspective will change and they'll start seeing, oh, wait a minute, that's why that happened. And what I think a key thing that I would like to pass on to the younger parents, that are newer parents, is obedience, getting them to obey right away. Those are important things. There are different avenues by which I can hear it in the conversation by which we want to approach that. How do we get a child to that place? Biblically, it's something we don't want to talk about on the radio because, we'll get in trouble. But the Bible does talk about physical discipline and not, it talks about the right way to do it and warns about doing it the wrong way. And there's residual effects from not doing it and doing it the wrong way. And so I think a clear understanding, a commitment by a parent before you decide to have a child, you've got to understand what the Bible teaches on that issue. And I think the reason that people don't is because they were raised in a home that did not stand on a biblical, they didn't stand on that was permissible in the Bible. And then maybe they were scared of the state. Maybe they were, whatever it is, they just had a bleeding heart and didn't want to, dare I say, discipline physically the child. It's so important to have a guideline for that. And I know that we structured it in such a way, even before the children were born, that structure would prevent over-disciplining. So coming up with, this infraction is, find the worst infraction in your house. For us, it was lying. So if you lied, that was the worst thing you can do. It just felt scripturally, you can't grow in Christ if you're living a lie. Deceiving your own self, you're not wise. So there's a lot of biblical aspects to that. And then we applied the worst severe or the most amount of physical punishment. There was a level, so we never went over that level for that. Then there was subcategories, So the second one, is direct disobedience. So there's direct disobedience. They just say, no, I'm not going to do it. Boom, that's a big one. And that was half. So the penalty was half of what lying was. So that was just a standard we kind of set in our home. So there was some indirect disobedience, accidental disobedience, and being the parents, God gives you wisdom to see what that is. Now, I think some parents apply it wrong. Should be looked at as direct disobedience, but we're going to let them off so we don't have to do any disciplining. So that takes character to do as a parent. But I think one of the things that I would like to leave you guys and everybody on air, that tone is so important. In an unborn child, as a father nestles close to the baby in the mother's womb and whispers or talks, that child responds. And you've all experienced it. That child will jump, that child will move, they'll respond to the father's voice. Mm-hmm. And so tone is something that affects the child before that child comes out of the womb. If you look at Scripture, there's a tone of God's voice. There's a tone of seriousness. There's a tone of soberness. That's not to replace love. Love has a tone, but discipline has a tone as well. And I have found that, I know with nursery and the daycare, I can walk in and people look at me like I've got some kind of I'm a child whisperer or something. But I can walk in and it's not even be my child, it can be somebody's, and I'll use a tone to my voice and they'll stop crying or they'll stop and listen, they just stop immediately. And I don't think we employ that. We don't learn good tones and strong tones to use before we have to get to that point of physical discipline. We should use what we already have. And if we're not willing, if we're so blind to that, it could explain why we never get to the point of using punishment the proper way. So, but men have a different tone. They're made different. So there should be more of an authoritative. And I know, Kirsten, you were holding Kirsten, and I think I was the first one to kind of just noticed that she was kind of getting antsy, wanting your attention, trying to get you, grabbing your nose. Of course, the schnauzer that big, anybody wants to grab it. But anyway, grabbing her. And she's just cute. We look at her and say, oh, that's cute, but you can see that she is trying to get your attention away from what you are already engaged in.
Right.
And so I just use a tone. I say, Kirsten, we don't do that. And I mean, that's a tone. We don't do that. And she stopped and looked at me. And that's a response. That's a good, healthy response. And so trying to lead a child away from a spanking with a tone is in your best interest, because you don't want to you don't want to have to get to that point. And trust me, they don't want to feel it. But if they're never trained to respond to tones, when dad's home, there's a different tone in the house. You don't get away with murder.
I think that's so true when it comes to the importance of teaching your children to respect authority, which today is such a curse word. Authoritative, But growing up, when I think about the things that I got in trouble for, or the things that I didn't get in trouble for,
Tell me about that.
I can't really remember any of them. I'm such a good kid. But one of the major things that helped me with obedience, and I think all of us, to a certain extent, can look back and relate to this, is fear. Fear of dad finding out and punishing me with those already set standards and rules. But why do we have such a generation today of adults who don't respect authority, don't respect leadership, don't respect the rules? It's because when they were young, their parents didn't teach them the importance of obedience, and through fear. And it's such a hard thing it's not really not hard. It's so biblical, Obviously, God is loving, and He's a Heavenly Father, and there's all those other attributes about Him. But how can you study God and how He interacts with mankind without looking at how much fear is involved? How much He used, I am God, and I can bless you, or I can curse you.
Fear, respect.
Right.
Not I'm scared of you. That needs to be clarified, because I agree with what you're saying. Fear is lacking.
Right.
And but I think sometimes when we use the word fear, the reason we don't like authority is because that word is attached to authority. Fear is attached to authority.
Right.
You are not responding properly without fear. But it's the respect side of fear. And even in our rule book, we have a rule that says, when your child comes home and tells you that the teacher did this or they were treated unfairly, it says, do not accept that. Go call the teacher, give them the benefit of the doubt. And that's because we found so many parents that just believe verbatim anything the child says, because the parent grew up always being able to go to the parent and say, my teacher did this or my teacher did this, and running down, because there was no healthy respect for authorities. And we have not passed that down to our children very well. So,
speaking of that, I have my own confession.
Oh boy!
Back when I was just, kids know how to control the narrative, and there was something I did stupid back in high school. Wasn't the end of the world. Just once.
Yeah.
Just one time. No, I wound up accidentally throwing a kid's lunchbox up on a roof.
Is that bad?
Accidentally?
Was the lunch still in it?
Accidentally, on purpose, That
would at least take the lunch out.
Now, it would have been bad if you would have put it up there and then took 16 penny nails and nailed it to the roof.
Well, one of the teachers had to go up on the roof and get it. So,
oh boy.
I mean, anyways, no, I forget how. I don't know if I had my cell phone when I wasn't supposed to or what, but I snuck away and I called Dad just to let him know, hey, that's what happened. I didn't actually do it on purpose. And I if I remember correctly, I didn't actually do it on purpose. But I made sure that I talked to him first so that I could control the narrative, so that he wasn't livid with me when he got a call from the teachers or whatever. And I knew exactly what I was doing. And so does every other kid. They know exactly what they're doing.
So do parents, if they stop to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, they pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they did the same thing.
Right.
I found the key is trying to communicate to my kids. I know what you're thinking. I used to think it. You know.
The expectation for obedience is also very low in today's culture, I feel like. My wife made a good point. We were talking about obedience, and especially with a baby as they get older, trying to learn, okay, I gave them instruction. Are they disobeying willfully, or are they 6 months old? You know, I'm not out there beating a 6-month-old, but at the same time, as they get older, you can see those different interactions where there's something going on in that head of theirs. And one of the things that she was taught was that, you have little puppies that are just 6 months, 10 months, just a year old, that can learn all of these tricks. They can learn when to go to the restroom. They can, why would God make just a simple animal with the ability to learn like that, and with the expectations that we have? You can train your dog. But then we move to the human side of things, and it's like, they're 2 years old, they just don't understand. It's like, well, do they? And I can still remember just my little experience of just Kirsten when she was 7-8 months old. You can start to see the wheels turning in her mind, and having an expectation of, listen. And I've told Court this a lot. Like, I would rather err on the side of guessing that she knows and dealing with it and pushing hard for obedience now, even if she doesn't understand. She's not going to die.
The hard part is that when you deal with it, striking the right balance between physical discipline and tone, because tone, if you're consistent,
right,
tone never should change. It's like when you tell them to get down. I can look at my kids when they were growing up and say, don't even think about it, because I see where their eyes are, and they know immediately. It's just a tone. And they know that after I make that egg, I don't give them that tone again. They're graduating to the next step, which is physical punishment. So it's the barrage of things that drives me crazy. It's like reason. Let me reason with the child. The child does the child knows it's doing wrong, but it can't explain it. It can't understand it. It just knows what it's doing. And so tone is the tool, I think, when you got from birth until I don't know, 6 months maybe. Tone is that, and you graduate into that, other area. Those ages change depending on the child. So, and everybody can take what I say and twist it and think but you're responsible to read your child. You should know your child. You should know your child as you. You should know your child as your spouse. And so by the time you have that child, you've had at least 9 months to watch your spouse and their bad character traits. Those are going to be born right into that child. So don't be surprised.
And I think one of the things that you did really well growing up, and even a strength of yours that I even today was reminded of as I was holding Kirsten and just engaging in the conversation. I wasn't even thinking about her. Because we're around as parents, you get used to you just get used to how they are. And then you were like, in the middle of a conversation, you corrected her. And that I was like, oh yeah, she is being, but what I'm saying, the point I'm making is being aware, being aware. And, the tone is important, but before that you have to know. And that's something that, like, when you did that, I was like, oh, I got to remember to pay attention to her and not get so engrossed in a conversation.
But not her. She doesn't need to know you're doing that.
Right. But she, like you said, is my responsibility.
Because she knows you're paying attention. She'll keep it up.
Yeah. Right. But I think that's an important, all the attributes that we've talked about as far as helping children learn obedience. We have to know when they're not obeying, or when they're.
You got to see when they're doing wrong.
Right.
Yeah. That's why we're supposed to correct them B times. B times just simply means immediately when they need it. Not, when we get home, you're going to get it. That stuff doesn't work. It doesn't. It just, it just doesn't work. And that's why tone is your biggest friend, because you're not always in public. You're not always in areas where you can spank a child. And so tone is your friend. If you're looking at them in your eyes, you're always going, that's not a good tone to set with your kids when they're young. If you look at your kids and go, and you're raising your eyebrow and I'm not playing. Now I'm saying when they need it. And sometimes a kid, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, right? So you do know every one of your children, there's foolishness just bound up in there. So to prevent getting to the point where you have to drive it from them, let them know that you see it. So a lot of times my kids, they were, just being normal kids. And I would look at them, and you know what the favorite response for them was? What? What? Like, they know I was watching them. But as soon as they go, what? I say, you know what? And I make them think, I don't know what, but he knows what. I'm going to watch my P's and Q's. I mean, they used to always joke, so Dad's the master of mind games, But it wasn't a mind game to me. It was just, that's the way we think. That's the way those kids are thinking. And it's knowing how they think and not dismissing it. We are just so generous with, oh, she didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. Let me tell you something. Purest form of meaning it is in that kid's heart right there. So set that tone. Get on it. Amen.
I know, Peter, I think you were cut off when you were first talking about.
Oh, did I cut him off?
Well, we got distracted.
He was talking about movies, so I went, okay, we'll move on.
But you were talking about something that you appreciated with your parents that they did for you and helping you obey.
Yes.
I don't know if you were going somewhere with that.
No.
You don't know. You weren't going anywhere with that?
Train of thought left.
Okay.
And left the station.
I just wanted to try to glean.
What did your parents do to help you?
Derailed. They were my parents. There. I mean, that's like I said, it was long ago. I had something in mind, but I don't remember what it was.
One of the things that helped me was Dad took me just about everywhere he went when he could. And I learned a lot from him, whether I was just watching him or...
Yeah, what about the
him
positive
engaging.
things? Because so far we've kind of talking about the when discipline is needed. So it's a reaction. But what about the action side of it? What did your parents do that encouraged you to obey without needing the reaction from you already wanting to disobey?
Yeah, so I was thinking about it beforehand, and I was like, man, what did they do to help me obey? And I kind of struggled to find an answer for that as a kid. But one of the things that Dad did instill in me that I feel like is very ingrained in me is faithfulness in telling the truth. And those were just things that he talked about over the years, constantly reinforcing it and talking about ways, maybe even before I was born. My parents were married for 13 years before I came along. And so they had a whole other life before me. But talking about things in their marriage that happened where they were struggling financially or whatever the case might be. And, Dad talked about tithing. And like, are we tithing? Are we giving at least a penny in offering? At least. Hey, it's God's deal. He promised he'd take care of us. It's up to him. Then they get home and there's a check from some random person for the exact amount they needed, stuff like that. Yeah. And those are memories. He shared
all that with you, though.
Right.
He didn't just keep them to himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he had the walk beforehand, and then he was able to teach me through that. And those are things that became ingrained in me. Yeah. And I find myself even telling Danielle, Crawfords don't lie. Crawfords are faithful or less faithful, because she's 2. Mm-hmm. But Crawfords don't lie. And as she gets older, those things will be positively reinforced. And
kind of the truth that's in Deuteronomy that talks about, you're going to talk about the word of God, these things with your children when you're in your house, when you're sitting, standing, walking, sleeping. I don't remember the exact reference. Yeah, Mom always quotes it, but
teaching her, that's family creed may help her understand Christians don't lie.
Right.
And we have a lot of Christians that lie.
Yeah.
They lie about when they're confronted on issues. They lie to themselves. They lie to others to make themselves look better. And so starting something off like a family creed is Crawfords don't lie.
Right. They stand and just
probably a good idea.
Danielle stand up every morning before she leaves the house. I will not. I hereby swear.
My Crawford Crest pledge.
And asked to go to the bathroom. No.
There you go.
No, that's a great point though. Talking about why you obey the benefits of serving the Lord, all the aspects of Christianity really that is not just reactive when they disobey. It's just almost, you say, organic. It's who you are, and it comes. And I totally relate to that growing up. Conversations all the time that were not based off of, hey, you did this wrong, so we're going to talk about it. It was just it naturally came up because it was my parents' life, and being real spiritually, I think, is a big thing. And then instilling that in your kids and having,
it kind of goes with a lot of what's going on in our church and how we're training and dealing with different things and how people respond to things and preaching and stuff like that. Our whole life had an emphasis of obedience because we were in the ministry. I was, training others to serve the Lord, and key thing of training that is do what God says. Do it the first time. So it has always been, look, the Bible says you can't be a pastor if you can't get it says the word is rule. And so you may not like authority, but they're supposed to rule over you. And if you can't rule your own house, you rule your own kids. The end product tells the story. The end product says exactly what went on in that house. And kids need to grow up with that responsibility that I don't want to make my mom and dad look bad. So if they're teaching you to be honest, tell the truth, don't steal, don't kill, then don't go out and do all those things, because that's going to make them look like they failed miserably. And that's just a result. We don't like it, but it's truthful. And I don't know where I was going, but I lost my train of thought. Choo-choo. But
you and Peter, it's that side of the table.
Yeah, it's the old side. But yeah, it's just a matter of making sure that we understand that as church people, obedience ought to be like huge in our house. It ought to be huge in our house. And some of our problems, maybe if we came to Christianity late, might be because we're not making that major. So for us, we're serving the Lord. Christianity wasn't a job; it's a way of life. And so there were some spiritual changes need to be made. Look, the fruits of the Spirit are more demanded in the ministry. You can't be a leader if you don't have those fruits. But if we're not paying attention to them, they're never going to grow. We're not planting them right. We're not watering and weeding around them. It takes a lot of work. And I think a lot of people like sprinkling Jesus in their life, but they don't want to be submitted. They don't want to give their all to Jesus. I'll add a little bit here, a little bit here. And so when they're, if kids get in early, they get saved, and they get on fire for God, they pick that up from our ministry, that tends to bother the parents, because kids aren't running out to be rocket scientists and engineers and money-making machines. They want to serve the Lord because they just want to obey the Lord. It's kind of a DNA that's in our families.
Something that you always have said over the years is that, people always like your product, but they don't like how you got your product.
Yeah. We've had people, they join our church, they put kids in school, they because it's safe, and they like they like the product. They like what they see, the kids singing up the great, all that. Everybody likes that, but they don't think about what it took to get it. How much discipline, how much order, how much obeying, until they have to see. They start sitting. You sit in church long enough, you start realizing, oh, guess what? My kids know that I'm not doing this, and so the kids lose respect for the parent, and then the parents get mad at the pastor. They get mad at the teachers. They get mad at the system. See what I did there?
That's probably that's probably one of the. I'll let Pete. We haven't talked a whole lot, so I don't know if you have anything to say anything. So. But before I get to you, but one of the things that no one things I've learned with having a kid is that parenting is work. And obviously, you know that growing up, but I mean, like sitting there on the couch, and Kirsten starts crawling over towards an area where she's not, and I can say no. But if I'm going to be a good parent, I can't go, no. I have to get up and go over there. And there's so many times, just this week it happened. And it just reminded me of kind of a little bit of this truth, the fact that it's like, I have to remember that being a good parent isn't just knowing these truths. It's not just organically going to happen. I have to remember to constantly renew in my mind, I have to get up. I have to be aware. I have to be willing to go over there, grab her, slam her. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But say no, and then go over there and tug her and show her what obedience is.
Yeah.
And but it is work, and it's just like so much easier just to zone out on my phone, which is what I was doing.
It's funny because I was listening to you today teach. Sorry,
no, I'm done.
It just
Pete sucks.
Okay, I was listening to you talk to Damien and teach him, and I was admiring you. You didn't know that. I'm sitting out there.
Wow, I never get admired.
I was hoping he wasn't paying a lick of attention.
No, I was listening. But I was sitting there going, oh, I wish I could do that. Now, if I was standing up there teaching Damien, I was slapped in the back of the head. I mean, are you stupid?
Are you stupid?
I mean, but JT's got this thing about him. He's a good teacher. He's just like, somebody can ask a question and he can just lay it. I said, and I heard you take a breath. So it was like you were going to answer it, but you were like, okay, I've already told you this, but I'm going to answer it again. And there was something with the sound files or something like that. But regardless, I just was like, that's 10 times better. I mean, I am who I am. So I got the product I was aiming to get, but I'm not saying that the best procedures always won out. And I like that. I like to be able to do that. But sometimes I think they need to know. Can you feel the proverbial hand moving towards your head? But I appreciate it. We need to make sure that we're using the right methods at the right times in the right situations, and that we're being consistent in that. So, if we're using the wrong ones, then change quickly to the right ones. So anyway, I was admiring that today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like I said, I was hoping he wasn't paying.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, Pete, did you want to add anything? Any of your scholarly handyman wisdom?
Other than just, it's kind of a comment on what we were talking about a lot earlier, is with the kids and how young they are and when they know they're doing wrong. Each and every one of my kids, I could tell, especially happened usually just after about 6 months, when they could start moving on their own, doing their stuff, starting flipping over, the beginning of the crawling stages. Of course, that's all different for every kid. But like one of the things we teach consistently to each of our kids was they're never allowed to touch our phones, especially Jewel. Jewel's really bad about it. Wham! I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. yeah. It's like, okay. But it starts with...
She is her father's daughter.
But it starts with the tone. And once they learn, that's usually sufficient. Like with Jenny, she's honestly probably been one of the easiest going of the lot, or at least we feel that way, probably because all the other ones are driving us haywire now, and we're like, oh, we wish it could go back. But
it's only just begun. So.
I know. Teenage years are not even here yet. But Jenny will reach out, and the thing is, she knows she's not supposed to, because she does this.
Yeah. Or
she glances at you.
The slow hesitation.
Slight hesitation,
yeah.
And the sidelong glance. Like they watch you.
So funny.
Yes. And then almost the sly smile. It's like, wow. Then whack.
Yeah, okay. It just happened to Court the other day. It was the same thing. Kirsten was trying to touch her iPad, and she said no. Smacked her hand, not like insanely hard, but and then Kirsten just looked at her. Was just looking at her and was like, it's just so funny because it's like
she reaches that. She does that. My pen, or if I have my phone in here, and she'll first when I pick her up, she'll start to read, Kirsten, that's Papa's, and she stops, looks at me, puts her hand down.
So
waits till I look away, and then she starts reaching for it again.
Yeah. We're teaching sharing now, aren't we?
No, I was reminded that I wish people would look at sometimes see the value of the church world and the family that church is meant to be, because it is nice that we can sit around this table and we're all different. We all parent somewhat, in different ways. We all agree, though, the Word of God's true, and that's got to be but we have support. It's like every one of my kid can't, if I'm not there, JT's not going to let them do something, or, we're not.
Right.
We have a support group in the sense of our church family, because we're all trying to get the best product for our children. So I think that's something that sometimes we need to remind ourselves of, because I think it's one of the first things you lose when you get mad and leave a church or leave a school system. Or
Monday there was a great example of that with Preston and the soda. Do you remember? He asked you for a soda.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preston was asked his mom for a specific soda.
Yeah.
And Mariah was like, "Did I bring him?" No. And that's all I heard.
yeah,
And a little bit later, I saw Preston ask Pastor for the exact same soda.
yeah.
And Pastor said, "Okay." And Preston, he says, "Go ask JT for it." Preston comes over. Pastor told me to ask you for that soda. I said, "What did your mom say?" He was like, Pastor's like, "No, it's okay. I said he could have it." And
Yeah, I didn't know that his mom didn't say, "Go ask Pastor."
Yeah,
Somehow
and
he
I
found
did-
out
and
whose pop that was. It was our pop.
Yeah, and I didn't hear the rest of the conversation. I guess Mariah later on had said, "Well, you need to ask whoever it is."
Yeah.
Found out it was Pastor's.
Well,
When
I
I asked
didn't know.
Pastor said it was okay. I was like, "Oh, okay, we're good now." But
Thing is between the three of us, none of us should be offended because even though we didn't know the whole thing, all of our motives were to help that child.
Right.
right.
And so I think I've experienced that a lot as our church grows, is that we all chime in or say something, or we hear a child or look and see the child's doing something, but we don't know what's been said by somebody else. And I think sometimes we get hurt feelings or perceive that maybe those people are working against us when what they're trying to do is work with us.
It does take
Support
it takes a conscious effort
Takes a
to
village.
not be that way.
Takes a
Because even
village.
just today when that happened, when you corrected Kirsten,
Don't talk to my kid that
No,
way.
I mean, but you do feel that as a parent. You feel like,
I got
okay,
this.
like you don't. I mean, if she's really at, but I did have to quickly realize, I totally spaced that she was, because I realized, no, he's right.
And
She
it was almost immediately because I saw it on you.
Yeah,
I immediately saw it on you.
But that is definitely something that you have to. I mean, I barely have to do that because she's obviously so young and I only have one. But
Yeah. But there's safety in this.
yes,
Yeah.
In having a church that that everybody's pulling to raise the next generation for the Lord. And that's one thing our church, as long as I'm the pastor, I don't train bankers. I don't train doctors. I don't know how to train those people. I don't train dentists. I don't train social workers. I just train Christians. And so that's what we're doing. We're just training Christians. And I think that's pretty much standard across the Bible,
Right.
how a Christian should be.
Exactly.
So when people go, well, that's not what look, this is just what the Bible says a good Christian should be. And since this church is geared that way, I think we're just ahead of the game to always communicate with each other and be supportive and thankful for what God's put in our life.
right. And Mrs. Reeves sent the correct scripture verse that is echoing exactly what you're saying. Scripture does not teach any other occupation than being a Christian. And Deuteronomy chapter 6 it says, "And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up." And that's a great theme.
Amen. We probably need to move on.
I would imagine so.
We got one more session.
Yes.
Section.
Segment. Don't forget, you can message us on social media, whether that's X, Instagram, Facebook, or you can also message us by texting us 920-940-8275. Request a song. If we have it, we will play it. We're going to go to Jesus, How Could You Have Loved Me So by the Vandenbergs. The song was requested by Alana.
Deep thinking is absolutely stupid. It's just the dumbest thinking in the world.
It was something stupid.
Just dumb. Dude, do you even know how stupid you sound?
That was just stupid.
Just stupid. Just so stupid. I feel like I look at you and go,
You're dumber than a $4 bill. It's just stupid. It's basic.
some stupid pastor whose initials are,
I don't want to be called stupid. You're drinking dope. Liquid dope. You're dumb as a box of rocks. You fell out of the stupid tree and hit every branch on the way down, crawled back up and did it again. How stupid is that? There should be a label for that. There is. It's called stupid. It may be stupid to you younger guys.
well, that's stupid.
It's just stupid. It's just stupid. Don't be stupid. Well, that's stupid.
Oh! Yeah, both statements are as stupid as can be. Just, that doesn't make any sense at all. Are you drinking stupid juice? This is the one time in all the time that we have actually done a program to expose your stupidity.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid.
Now, before you get offended, this segment isn't about insulting anyone.
Yeah.
It's about helping people. To love the brethren. The Bible says in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I've noticed that many good Christians struggle in areas like finances, parenting, relationships, work, decision making, not because they're bad people, but because nobody ever taught them what to do and how to do it. So each week in the Are You Stupid segment, we will take practical subjects and walk through them. Simple, biblical, step-by-step solutions that can help people avoid foolish mistakes and gain wisdom for everyday life. The goal isn't to make anyone feel stupid. The goal is to help all of us become wiser. And so we are starting off the first week, and the subject is how to build credit. How to build credit. That's so important, because if that isn't taught, if that isn't communicated, our young people become what we call handicapped. Handicapped. And so we're talking today about how to build good credit. This is a subject that affects both young people just getting started and adults who may be trying to recover from mistakes made years ago. The good news is that good credit is not built through complicated financial tricks. It is built through the same qualities that the Bible praises, and we need to understand that: honesty, responsibility, faithfulness, patience, and self-control. Luke chapter 16 and verse 10 says, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. Good credit is really a financial reputation. It's your financial reputation. It tells lenders whether you can be trusted to keep your word. It's an amazing thought process. I don't know how we're not teaching this to our kids. Young people, the goal is to start wisely. Learn to work. Learn to tithe, learn to save, learn to live within your means. If you use a credit card, use it for something small and predictable like gasoline, and then pay it off every month. Never use credit to buy things you cannot afford. For adults trying to repair past mistakes, the principles are very similar. Start paying every bill on time. Stop creating new debt. Make a plan to pay off old obligations. Be patient. Credit can be damaged quickly, but it usually takes time to rebuild. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to look wealthy before they become wealthy. Proverbs 22 verse 7 says, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. And I've tried to teach this so often. You are not the exception to the rule. Nobody is an exception to the rule. If the Bible says the rich ruleth over the poor, that is fact, Jack. And the borrower is servant to the lender. So if you take a loan, you have to understand, you must strike a submissive tone in your thinking. You can't get mad at them when you don't pay your bill and they shut it off, or they take it, or they repossess it. It won't work. Debt should be approached carefully. Credit is a tool, not a lifestyle. Whether you're 16 or 60, good credit is built by doing the right thing consistently, time and time again. So I'd like to ask the men today some questions. What financial habits helped you build your good credit? Hopefully you got it. What mistakes did you learn from? If you had to start over today, what would you do differently? What advice would you give a young person trying to establish credit for the first time? And what advice would you give someone trying to recover from past financial mistakes? Let's talk about some practical steps that can help people build a good financial reputation and avoid many of the pitfalls that hurt so many families. Now, before I go forward and turn this over to you guys, I want to publicly endorse our financial family here. I personally have not asked any of them. I don't know what they are. Well, JT shared with me a minute ago, but I personally have not asked them. I told them they could share it. They didn't have to share it, whatever their credit rating is. But I know this, they all own their own home. And so, we go from the youngest to the oldest. Are you older than him?
No.
Okay, so you're youngest.
No,
youngest,
close.
then you, of course, then me. So I will tell you, I bought my house that I'm in is the first house I ever purchased in my entire life. My wife and I have been married 36 years, and we bought it 10 years ago. So I know what it's like to not have good credit, and I was determined to make sure my kids did not go there. 3 out of the 4 kids that I have own their own home. And so praise the Lord for that. But they followed some teaching that I gave them and some principles. And then when they moved out of the house, they continued those policies and principles in their own life. And now they have homes. So I endorse these guys. I see their lives. They're not trying to live like me. All these years later, I'm knocking on the door 60. So they're not out buying brand new cars or, trying to live in big houses but they're not unhappy. They love what God's given them and they've worked hard for it and they're bettering their life. So if you're their age or any age really that's listening, we can all benefit by what's going to be said here today. So I'll just throw it out there wherever the spoofle dust lands.
I'll just give a really quick overview. I'm going to try of my how you trained me and then how the process went for me.
Okay.
from being somebody who just had a little remember those little debit cards that you got us when we were kids?
Yes.
And we'd ride anytime that we got any money, we'd ride our bikes to the bank, and I was just so happy to put $5 in the bank. I can remember to this day asking the bank teller for a $3 bill because I didn't know, because I was withdrawing money and I didn't know that wasn't a thing. I was like, can I just have a because I wanted $3 or something. Can I just have a $3 bill? And I remember she looked at me like, that was last week. No, I'm just kidding.
$3 bill.
Yeah. You're as dumb as a $4 bill.
You just found out yesterday.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but so obviously as a kid you taught us to save our money. Anytime that we had, got us bank accounts and obviously kept track of that. And I don't even know what the rules were for getting that through a bank. But when I was, graduated high school, you worked with me and set up I don't remember if it was a student credit card. I think it was a student credit card. It had like a credit amount of I think it was $400, $500 maybe. And I, exactly what you said, I used that for gas, and then I paid it off. I used it for gas every month, and then as soon as you get in the vehicle, you pay it off.
Why do you do that?
Because I didn't want to incur the interest that was going to be hitting on that.
It's a nice thing about a credit card. You can use their money if it's unsecured. Mm-hmm. You can use their money for 30 days, pay it back, and not pay anything extra.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. And when it comes to, I guess I've skipped one important part when it comes to, and I guess my story is a little bit different than the other siblings, but when it comes to getting a vehicle, we had a family vehicle at that time, that purple truck that had passed through pretty much all the kids. I drove that.
I made a lot of money on that truck.
Yeah. And then I borrowed Mrs. Greeley's husband's truck for one summer. And then I went to give it back to her, and she gave the keys right back to me and said, you can keep it. And that was at that point, is a 94, at the same as it is today, but a 94 F-150. And I just was at 4-wheel drive. I mean, it was taken care of very well. And so I didn't have to pay a single cent for that. Thank you, Miss Greeley, if you're listening. Still appreciate that. And I took that, what we would call in today's age, a clunker, and I drove that thing through 4 years of college.
It still runs.
Yep, it still runs. Hopes. Yep. And it was just a solid truck. I think you worked on it all that time. One time. It was an electrical issue, but I mean, but it wasn't something I was rolling up into and being like,
Notice you said I worked on it.
You did. Yeah. I was watching you and learning, right? But And then let's see here. Of course, I had that credit card, and I had that for a couple years. And the first vehicle I purchased, it was actually a motorcycle, and it was about $3,000, and I wrecked that. Totaled it.
Epic.
But thankfully, I had insurance that paid it off completely. But I paid that motorcycle off in one summer by my odd jobs that I did, and then mowing and window washing, and I paid it off in one summer, and I'm sure that helped my credit a lot. Graduated college, and I think I had that truck for almost another year or so, maybe not quite that long. But then me and you went to Denver, and I found a vehicle. You didn't have to co-sign, just through my credit. I was able to buy it. That was $16,000, I believe. It's about around 17, higher end of $16,000. And then I drove that for 3 years, and then I got my truck, the Ram truck.
Yeah.
And then
That was a good
in
truck.
between that, before I got the truck though, I was able to get a house. And at that point, I was in the guy's dorm, I believe.
You were trying to make a decision on whether to start a coffee business?
Yes.
Or buy a
so
house.
I was graduated college, serving on staff here for, I've been about 2 years at that point. JT, it was your first year of college, second year of college?
I came in 2019, which I think that's the year you got your car. But
Yeah,
you got the
right.
car before I got here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then when we finished the guy's dorm, you moved in there. We both were in that for about I don't even know if I was in there for a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a year. And I didn't have any debt except for my car. And so that's the only thing I was paying on. And I didn't really have much of a savings, to be honest. I didn't have much of a savings. And I was trying to decide, do I take the savings that I do have and invest it in doing something long-term, like a coffee shop? That's something that was like a dream of mine at that point. I wanted to do. Even got to the point where I was basically a day away from signing a lease on a place. And you were going to financially go in with me and help. And we were going to start a coffee shop, and we were going to buy the roaster. We were going to roast our own coffee. Big plans. And one of the things that you mentioned to me is you said, you can do this. I'm behind you. I'll help you financially. But financially, the best thing, if you can, is buy a house. And I remember thinking, sort of like the cameras yesterday, I don't know if that's going to happen. But I remember going, okay, I just knew like how a house, 100,000. I mean, that's a big commitment. And I was at that point 23, 24.
And it's finding
23.
the right one, the right price, the right down payment, all that stuff.
And at some point, I don't know who sent the house to me. I don't remember. I was talking to Brother Smith. He had just gotten his realtor's license, but I met with him.
I thought his mom found it.
Yeah. I think somebody sent it to Hope because she was looking for a house.
Okay.
You guys went
and they were like, hey, this is too small for her. But I was like, I'll go look at it. And met you, Brother Smith. We walked through it. And I was like, yeah. And you were like, this is a good deal. I think they were selling it for $120,000. And I was like, okay. I had never gone to the bank and got it pre-approved, nothing. So that day on my lunch break, I just went to the bank and I just sat down, gave them the finances that I had, how much money I made, all this stuff.
There's a lot of things that go into it. Like the bank you went to was a bank that already gave me a loan.
Right.
So they knew me.
Right.
You use those things for your advantage to help your kids.
Right. So I sat down across from the loan officer, and I, up to that point, didn't know how the process worked. I thought there's no way I'm going to get approved for this because of the amount of money that I make. But what helped me was not necessarily the amount of money that I made. What helped me was good credit, no debt to income ratio. So although I wasn't making a ton of money, I had no debt. The only debt I had was a $260 payment on a car. That was it. And so I walked out of there with an approval. And I think within a month or so, closed on the house.
117.
Got it for 117.5, I think. And then now, today's market probably could sell it for 130, 140, 150.
More than that.
150 probably. And so that's a long story short. My credit, I checked right before I got here, it's like 750. I've been, highest I've gotten was right before I got my truck, was 800. I hit 800 right before I signed the loan on that and got good.
I'll let you go next, but I think when you're talking, I think it's popped in my head is so many times parents are telling their kids what mistakes not to make, but they have not done it right themselves. So they're still renting. They don't have any savings. They can't buy a car. They're stuck. And it's so helpful as a parent if you live within your means. Don't mess up. You don't need to go to Rent-A-Center and have the latest and the greatest. live in a couch that you bought 20 years ago. I mean, if you have to do that, I had a washing machine that lasted forever and a day. We bought $25 for the washer, $25, and we just worked on that. I learned how to work on it and repaired it, and it washed our clothes for years. But being able to look at our kids and saying, look, this is the right way to do it, not just because it's the right way to do it, but because they've seen us get blessed that in that same process. Only they're going to do it a lot younger than I did. So,
yeah, I think the three things that I look back that helped the most was, of course, having that credit report, good report, never made a late payment, never missed a payment, and then no debt. I mean, no debt, and those things huge when it comes to being able to. And now, obviously, the down payment. How did that work? Well, I don't know if that's a federal thing or if that was Nebraska. I think Nebraska has a grant, first time home buyer grant that paid for, I think, give me $10,000. I think
that was half of the down payment.
Yeah, it depends on the year.
It gave me $5,000. I think
it depends on the year.
Yeah, and so
because we went through the same thing.
Yeah, and I took some time in between when we found the house to save some money in between closing to save it for, because I mean that was between agreeing for the bank and the closing date when you have to hand in the check. I mean that was 2 months probably, and I know you gave me.
I did that with all my kids. Offered them so much down payment. Did I do that with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's my story. JT, let's hear your story.
I didn't get that. No.
You're not my kid.
Well, no. So before I came out here, so 25, I was just looking up my oldest credit. And so I didn't have a credit score until I was 25, and then I kind of got curious about maybe buying a house. This was like a year before I came out here, and I didn't have a credit score. So they said, okay, you have to build your credit. I was like, cool, how do I do that? Well, start by getting a credit card. And so I was able to get a credit card that, like I didn't have to insure it because at that point I was working at it.
Explain that real quick. You didn't have insurance. So, because that's something that was part of the system at the college is sometimes kids come and they have zero, especially the girls. They're not even registering. Right. And so you go apply for a card, they'll deny you because you're not even on the thing. So what do you do?
Right, yeah. So what you can do is if you have, I think a lot of times it'll be like 500, 100, 500, 1,000. I don't know what they are. It
can be 200. It can be just whatever you have.
And you self-insure it. So you're borrowing your own money effectively.
So if I put 500, I have to, instead of them giving me a credit card for $500 credit limit, which is their money, I have to send them a check for $500.
Right.
Once that's in there and it clears, I can only borrow against the $500 I have. So it's, but now you're getting they're filing on that, so it's building your credit.
It's like an in between a debit card.
I mean,
and a real
if you put
card.
if you put $500 in a savings account and take a debit card, you can do the same thing. Only they don't report to the credit agencies.
Exactly.
So you want that.
Yeah. So, but at that point, I had enough coming in that they went ahead and they gave me like the lowest level of credit card with the lowest level of maximum spending. I'm drawing a blank on the term, and I just.
Credit limit.
Credit limit. That one. At first, because it was a 0% interest, I didn't pay it off right away, and I heard that having a little bit of debt was a good thing. And from what I know now, I don't think that was necessary at all. Yeah. You do want to keep it. One of the things that I do is I make sure I stay with under like 30% of my total credit limit.
Yeah. So let me explain that to you real quick. Mm-hmm. So. Basically, that statement that you were told, you probably weren't taught what that means.
Yeah.
But there's certain kinds of debt that you can have that doesn't work against you to have that debt. It actually helps creditors look at it and establish that, okay, you're paying it on time, boom, 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 boom. So an installment loan, something you have to make every month, is good to have because another creditor will look at that and say they pay their bills on time. Right. So it really works to your benefit. But if you're just starting out, what you want to do is build that credit rating up, those number system up, because you'll probably start at about 600 or 5 something, depends on what it is. I don't even know what it would be now, but you want to be up in the 700s,
and if you're willing to read, I remember discovering on the Discover app, it goes through,
it tells you all
hey,
that.
do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and it gives you all the green and like your revolving utilization and all that good stuff.
Right. Yeah. They on the Wells Fargo app, it literally has payment history, debts, credit history, new credit application, and then types of credit.
Man, you guys got it easy. Not my generation.
Chat GPT it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nothing.
we had to go to the bank
Yeah.
and here,
And
read the
and
small
what you were
print.
talking about is that types of credit.
Yeah.
So if you have nothing but credit card debt and you're not paying it,
Yeah, that's bad.
you're gonna
Yeah.
seriously tank it. But having a house payment, I think car payment kind of can go into that good type of debt. Anyway, so I paid it off, and at some point I think I started with $1,000 credit limit, and then just randomly, like a year later, they were like, and now you have $2,500. I was like,
Pay those snacks off every
thanks,
month.
yeah.
Taco Bell.
And they
Not
upped it, and now I'm up to, and I put everything on the credit card. And that's how I started. Of course, I started at 25. I didn't start at 18, coming in as a college student, getting free money.
When you say everything, but you have to live with inside what you know you have to pay back.
Right. So that's
important.
So that's the thing. So so everything that I buy, I put on the credit
Budget.
card.
So would you
But I never
recommend
spend
that
more-
that kind of spending for someone like the guy running in the booth?
No. So like I said, 25.
Yeah.
I had been disciplined enough to where I lived off of a debit
Sure.
card already
Right.
for however long I'd had the
You
bank
had bad
account.
habits already.
Yeah. So,
I'm just teasing.
but I do that because I get 2% back, but I never spend more than I can pay off, because otherwise,
Which is
I'm
easy to do, yeah.
losing that. I'm paying back an interest. That,
Well, you
that
came to
2%.
college at 25,
26.
26.
Yes.
And for 4 years you were in college.
Yes, sir.
And I've kind of just joked with you about it, but you had a savings the whole time. I never knew it. Which I
There
don't.
were
need,
hints,
I didn't need to
for the
know.
record.
But yeah, but
Yes.
I didn't need to know, and I didn't really push on it. But you had a car, you made your insurance payments.
Yep.
You never had a late college bill, as far as I know. So it was pretty. It wasn't surprising to me to find out later that, oh yeah, he's sitting on $300,000 in the bank.
Boy, that would have been nice.
Boy, you could have gotten a better house.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, and part of that. So I've bought 2 cars. Both of them I wrote a check for, and I bought. Now they weren't
Yeah,
bought from a
right.
dealership. They weren't super nice.
Don't need to.
But hey, they get me from A to B, and I don't have a car payment.
Amen.
So that's great. And consequently, I'm not paying the interest on that or anything like that.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I forgot.
Yeah.
Let me just jump in here real quick. He said something in his segment about praising the Lord that he had insurance. Okay. And I started down that road about parents telling their kids what's right to do, but they don't do it. So you have to establish, you don't let them get a car and not get insurance. You can't have this anti-government mentality. I agree with you. Sometimes we pay insurance way too much. It's overpriced. But you're going to praise the Lord someday when you going down the road and the tracks fly out of your pocket and you swerve and flip your motorcycle and ching, ching, it's paid for and you don't have any debt. So
Yeah.
that just came back to my mind. So do it right. Do it the right legal way. Don't. Go ahead.
And that was pretty much it. At this point, Emma and I got married. She had a credit card. I think we got another one through Wells Fargo just because that's where
Now,
pretty
Em,
much all.
the listeners don't know, but Em started Bible college here. She did not have a credit rating.
No, yeah.
She had a credit card because we taught her. Miss Hope worked with her, got a credit card. What was her rating when y'all were married?
I have no idea.
I bet she was in the 700s.
I'm sure it was.
When did you get the house? That was
Before we got married.
before you got married, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was the same year because I think you bought a house and then I was living in the dorm alone.
Yeah, and you got
I
loan
was already
money.
heading that direction. Yeah, I got loan money.
Nice.
And then
You tried to move in with me. No, can't do that.
That is a program that we do with all our college
Yeah.
students is we want to know where you're at financially. So if you're in a bad way, we want to help you get out of that way because there's something to learn in that. And if you're just you don't even exist on the credit rating scale, if you're a girl especially, we want you to be a blessing to whoever you're going to marry and be a help and not a hindrance. Don't want to take in debt into your marriage where the man would have to take over all that debt. You want to be able to go, we're married, both have 800 credit ratings. We can go apply for a loan, get a house. It doesn't have to be a mansion, but we'll apply for a $150,000 loan and get it. And that's a shack anymore anyway. So, wow. But I want all our college girls who come here to know that, you're not getting a job, you're going into the ministry, but you're still advancing, because those things at Great Plains Baptist College are important to part of making it in the ministry, being able to make sure that you learn to live within your means and develop a credit rating that says, you have a credit rating that says you're a millionaire, but you have finances that say otherwise.
Yeah. And I didn't know her credit rating, but I knew that she wasn't massively in debt. I knew that she had her car, and I knew she had a little bit of savings and all that just from wedding planning and all that. And it's good to not be enduring. I was the one with the debt, but that was because I had a house. So, that's a little different. That's different.
Yeah.
But that was my debt. That was the extent of my debt.
The nice thing about house debt, car debt, is it's highly likely that you are going to be able to resell that house and get all your money back.
Right.
It's highly likely that you can sell on the private market your car and get more than what you would get if you traded it in. So being willing to do those things, know your house, know your vehicle, and be able to broker it privately yourself, that gets you the most money back. But those are purchases that have value. So you're purchasing value. It's not like a TV or snacks. They don't have value.
Equity. Yep.
Yeah. Equity. That's the word. What do you say, Pete?
Piggy banks. No.
He got 4 piggy banks at home.
Get that hammer. Smash.
I remember the days of piggy banks.
Yeah. Well, I remember as a kid, one of the things my parents did in Japan, we actually it wasn't a bank account, it was a post office account. They don't have them here. I don't know why the post office in Japan you can open an account. They don't give you much as far as that. I just remember, though, it was within riding my bike distance, and every time I had a little bit to put in there, I would go down there and do it. Because I forget I think I had promised my parents that I would put away half of whatever it was. So by the time I left Japan and came to the States, I had the equivalent, I think it was a couple grand. So it was very helpful to have a little bit of savings coming in.
Bought that Honda with that?
No, that was years later. But anyway, so my parents had always, like growing up, I remember when we were building the church building that they built over there, I don't know how they did it, but I am almost 100% certain the only thing they put a loan out for was the land itself. And it was 1/6 of an acre, and they paid, I think it was $100,000 or something like that for it. It's farmland, so it's super expensive. You think land, nope. Over there it's super expensive. But other than that, everything else from all the materials that they went and purchased in the United States, shipped over, I'm pretty sure they paid for as they went. Which is one of the reasons I think it took us almost 3 years, I think, to get most of it
I think you raised some money too through missions.
Yeah, they did. They did that too, but I do know that they pretty much, the only debt that they had was on the land itself.
Sure, right.
So,
right.
And I just remember going through that whole process. I remember some things that we cut back on as a kid. And I mean, I was, I think, 9, 10, or 11 when they started that process. And but I just remember them doing that and being able to control what was spent. We didn't do a couple of things that we normally did every year up to that point. I remember us, we're building the building. We're
tightening the belt.
We're tightening. Yeah, we're not going to do that this year.
Skipping a few meals.
Yeah. Well, actually,
sorry, kids can't eat.
Oh man, we had more SpaghettiOs. Actually, those were. Never mind. Peanut butter was expensive. They don't have it in Japan. Anyway, that's just one of my early childhood memories of kind of like finances were important, but you can do it and do it right. When I came to the States, just got a job. I went to college. I did not get a credit card until after I got out of college. And at that point, and I don't think I didn't have much of a credit rating, if anything. I didn't even really understand all of that at that point. I had a debit card with my bank, and that's how basically I paid my college tuition every month. And when I got my first credit card, it was a $500 limit. I was like, ooh. I was like, yeah, that is so awesome. And then like you said, like a year later, they upped it. I don't even know. I think it was to 1,000. And then after that, it was like 3,000, then 5. I was like, I don't understand why. Because it was just like,
natural
paying it
increases.
off.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So,
That's
I mean,
'cause you were honest. You paid your bills.
I paid my bills, and they just upped it. And actually, they still do that. It's like, I don't know what my credit limit is on my one card. It's a decent amount, but what was it? I bought one of the things that, when I was in Maryland, I had looked into buying a house and all that stuff, talked to a bank, credit union that I was a part of. And the guy that I talked to, he looked at my credit rating. Apparently it was like, I think it was like in the 600s or something like that. And it was like, hey, well, at this point, you kind of need to work on building it. Because I think that I had like 1,500 or something like that in a credit limit and all that kind of stuff, and didn't really have anything in savings. But he was just like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is X, Y, and Z. In Maryland market, of course, you're more familiar with it. It is a lot different than Nebraska. But anyway, he told me that, and I kind of took some notes on that, and then I started to work toward that. And then very shortly after, I moved out to Nebraska. So I had some savings when I came out here, and I had a pretty decent credit score, which I didn't even realize. I think it was in one of the college classes of the first year I was here. I was sitting in on it. Pastor was teaching on finances, and he had everybody log into Credit Karma and create an account. And that's what I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, they had internet.
Like,
back then?
what? Anyway, so found out what that was about, and what the main criteria is that they look for are, your credit history and what you've done with your debts in the past. So I had at that point really only one major thing. I had the blue Honda, and I was paying on that still. It was I think originally $10,000 was the original amount, and I'd been paying on that for a year or so, I think, at that point. But it was being paid for on time and all that stuff. I was like, oh, okay. But it was, I think, the year after you purchased your house, and then me and Jewel had just gotten married, and we started house hunting. And it was, I think we started searching, but then we stopped. I forget what the reason was, other than it just wasn't the right time and stuff like that. But I think it was now 9 years ago, this July, that we purchased the house that we're in. And praise the Lord, a whole different market. Mm-hmm. We purchased it through a home. We didn't do it through a agency or where Coldwell Banker or whatever. We did it through a homeowner. Yeah. She had already done that kind of process, I think 3 or 4 times at that point, and she wanted to save the fees, and that's just kind of how it went. And it worked out fine. We own the home, and because of that, we also paid a slightly lower rate. Not interest, just lower rate. We purchased the home for, I think, $149,500 or $149,000, stuff like that. And the wonderful thing about it is, I was talking to Damien up there, and just different homes and stuff like that, rental places around town. Some of these places that are just hole-in-the-wall junk places, that's like what I pay for my mortgage every month.
It's more for me.
It's really sad.
Rent in North Platte is more than my mortgage.
Right. So, I mean, there's plenty of places that are, if I rented out my house, I could easily charge twice what my mortgage is.
Yeah, you want to all move in?
Yeah.
Rent our houses out?
That's great.
Because moving to this
I'm going to rent a trailer. Hey, Joel, we're going to move to a trailer temporarily.
I'm glad you guys didn't say move in with me, because that ain't happening.
Hey, I know this great place. It's got 3 empty bedrooms.
You could go to camp. No, we don't have our own cabin. It's already kind of like a cult. We're ready to go.
So we already got a gate.
Yeah, it's got a gate, everything.
Fenced community. Gated community. There we go.
Yeah, gated.
So, I mean, Jill brought some benefit to the marriage, right?
So she had, through your help, purchased a car and got it all paid for by the time we got married. And she had a great credit score. I don't remember. I know it was in the 700s or higher than that. Well, of course, back then, the highest was 800. So it was like almost impossible to get that without like 20 years of history. And mine was in the 700s. And we were pretty close to it. It was a competition for a while when we went back and forth. But she had a great credit score, had no debt, and we actually eventually sold her car around the same time we were purchasing the home and used part of that for a down payment. Through that, a couple and some savings that we had for the down payment, and then you had also added to that. But then the Nebraska program they have for first-time home buyers. Yeah, when I talked to the bank lady, she had said that it just changes every year. Like sometimes it's $3,000. She said, I think it was all the way up to $8,000 1 year. It just depended.
Yeah.
And when the funds run out, they run out. But so you have to do it in like the first half of the year, apply for it.
Which somehow I hit. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the Lord,
kind of what
obviously.
did it. Yeah, the Lord knew,
Right.
And just kind of put it together for us, and it's been a great home. I mean, really,
It's forever home if you want it to be.
Yes, Jewel. All right. So, I mean, it's got some work to be done on it. If
She
we want
wouldn't
it
mind
that
if
way.
you build onto the back of it and made a garage. And,
You know, when all the kids leave, she has to clean the whole thing. So I'm not sure what she's going for. So
I would say you're right, but my house is empty and it doesn't get cleaned all the time. So, no, I'm just kidding. I'll be in trouble for that when I get home.
Oh, dear.
I
Thing
was
is, it
just
also doesn't
joking,
get as
America.
dirty, right?
I was just joking. My wife keeps an excellent house.
Canceled.
Immaculate. Yeah, I'm canceled. That's exactly
Jewel does
right.
a great job. And so, anyway, our home, we love it. Done a lot of changes over the past 8-9 years that we've been in there. It is a completely different place. So,
Amen.
what we did, we took out carpet and redid floors. We've taken out walls. That's been great.
Paint.
Lots of paint.
Now, some people are allergic to that, but I think it builds a relationship when you work with your family. You work with your wife, even if they're young, you know, to fix your house up. You work together. You know, I know all my kids can hang drywall. And I mean, Miss Hope's got her own house. And she does almost everything. I mean, every time I turn around, she's doing something new. And I'm like, why didn't you call me? Oh, I'll do it myself, you know. It's like, she's a great man. But she fixes everything. I mean, I'm so impressed by her ability to do things. But that comes from working together with your family. You can pull together and work together, and you learn a lot of things. But this is about finances. But basically, just to sum it up, because I've never gone this long. I can't ever. Have we gone this?
Yeah.
I don't ever remember going this long.
Been a while.
I think
Last year.
It's been a whole year. Yeah.
I think what I want people to get out of this is don't be stupid with money.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid with money. And I can't tell you how many times I look at the younger generation and they have no concept of what they're doing to themselves by getting a bunch of credit cards and just living off of them and just getting into debt, or just learn you have to be careful with your money, and credit rating is important. Ladies, bring nothing but good. I mean, my wife's credit rating is higher than mine. I would venture that everybody here has, their wives are probably higher because, you know, they do less of the spending and stuff. It's mostly on us, but, you know, praise the Lord for the wisdom that God has provided through the years to see that we can build our credit rating and not let it destroy us. And I think there's a whole movement out there that's just anti-loans, anti-credit cards, anti-everything. Look down at you. Don't do that. Don't build. Don't take a loan. But if you're paying your bills and you're not living outside of your means, there's a right way to do it, and it's acceptable, and God's not against you doing it. So he just
They
wants to
have their
make it
place.
very clear. You take a loan, you have to have an understanding you borrowed it, you're a servant. And so whatever terms you agree to, you must keep it and be honest about it. So honesty will help you with your credit rating and getting that up.
And if it's something you can't control, maybe cut them and go to straight cash, debit, whatever you have to
there's
do.
different things. We don't have time to go up, but you know, if you've made mistakes, you're going to have to go backwards and start over.
Right.
Remember, it's going to take a long time to get that credit rating back and earn it back. And it's going to have to tighten your belt. You got to tighten your belt. Just do things you don't want to have to do and live without things. So.
With that, we have the tornado warning going off, so we might all get sucked out of here. And what a way to go!
We'll go up with great credit
Women
ratings.
might die older, but we die more awesomer.
Yes. Wow. The last thing you'll hear as Pastor gets sucked out of the roof. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Brook, and we hope you'll join us again next week at the same time in the same place for another fun-filled show. Pastor Peter, Brother JT, and everyone between, thank you for the great broadcast. Don't forget, you can watch this show in podcast form on our website, on YouTube, and on iTunes next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you joined us today on YouTube, we'll end the show with this song, Once I Pull It Up. Every Time I Feel the Spirit by the Old Fashioned Quartet. We'll see you all next week at 5:30 on Saturday.
Man. Adios.
Welcome back. Normally it doesn't come to me, but today,
Surprise.
Okay, well, everybody needs to put the normal handles with their actual
do have
name.
to go.
See, he's entertained.
I'm only in the 1 percentile of height, but the 99% of weight gain.
Dave, we have hot tamales. Get fired up. I knew this was a good move. Go ahead.
Honest, I actually don't know what happened.
Well, this is stupid. That's fine. Whatever. Just exposing your idiocy.
You've heard it here first, folks. We'll be right back.